we're back. We're back with another installment of Storytime with Chris. As I always say, you don't have to watch these videos when they go live. You're more than welcome to watch them in your downtime, nap time, max, relax, and chillaxing time, in between time, mean time, scheme time, study time, break time, CP time. Any time that you want to hear a highly animated voice bring you wonderful stories of magic, fantasy, science fiction, adventure, music, and many, many more in between. Hi, lovelies. We are back. We're going to go ahead and get started because I'm on a bit of a time crunch because I got to go to work soon. But we're back, having met Ungama, the geomancer, who is helping Kara and her companions, Finder, Belle, Moonheart, Thomas the Tinker, the Scourgeum, find their way to the gateway that will lead them to Kara's old home so she can go fetch her grandmother Ivy Morris, the Wanderer, to bring her back to the world of Luster to say goodbye to Queen Arabella Skydancer, aka the Queen of the Unicorns in the world of Luster. But unfortunately, the gateway is in the back of a dragon's cave. The last dragon that ever came to Luster, Ebelon, the 7th dragon, who is technically smaller than the smallest of the other dragons, but still very unpredictable, very capricious, and very powerful. Chapter 7. The Bathing Pool. Kara felt safe in Ungama's house. Even so, she slept fitfully that night. In her dreams, she stood in her grandmother's bedroom and wept, though she could not tell who or what it was that she wept for. She was roused from her troubled sleep by the morning sun peeking over the edge of the second-floor terrace. Her first movements brought a sputter of protest from the Squidgem, who was curled at her side with his tail tucked over his eyes. When Kara stumbled down the stone steps to the main floor, she found the geomancer standing at the table in the entry room. The table was no longer covered by bits of earth and stone, but held instead an array of clothing. "You should be better outfitted before you continue your journey," said Ungama. "Unicorns tend not to think about these things. Also, you should let me help you with your hair." Kara put her hand to her head. Her thick red hair, usually so neatly groomed at home, was not only tangled, but becoming matted. "You're not going to cut it off, are you?" she asked nervously. Gamma laughed. "It might be a good idea, but for now, we'll simply get it in shape for traveling. Flensa will help you first. I'll join you in a while." As if summoned by the very mention of her name, the dwarf appeared at Kara's side. "Follow me," she growled. Turning, she led Kara back to the hall where they had dined the night before. She stopped to pick up one of the glowing bowls and motioned for Kara to do the same. This done, they headed toward the back of the chamber, the area that had remained in darkness the night before. Kara could see now that the cave tapered to a narrow opening that seemed to tunnel straight into the hill. The stalactites hanging from the ceiling and the stalagmites thrusting up from the floor looked like giant teeth, giving the tunnel itself the appearance of a long, dark throat waiting to swallow her. "Where are we going?" Kara asked, fighting to keep the tremor out of her voice. "You'll see," grunted Flensa. Though Kara found picking her way among the rocky formations into the dark tunnel somewhat nerve-wracking, the traveling was smooth once they entered it. The tunnel sloped downward for a good distance, bringing them at last to a cave lit by several more glowing bowls. The air was cool and moist, making Kara think of the cellar under the little house with the climbing tree bound earth. In the center of the cave was a stony pool. Steam drifted across its still surface, much as it does above a pond on a crisp autumn morning. The sound of slowly dripping water echoed around them, bouncing eerily off the cave walls. "You can bathe here," said Flensa. Kara waited for the dwarf to leave, but after a moment it became clear that she had no intention of going. Kara hesitated, then telling herself not to be silly, undressed. Bracing herself from a shock of coldness, she stepped gingerly into the water. "It's warm!" she cried in delight. Flensa waited until Kara's voice had finished bouncing off the walls before she replied, "What did you expect?" Kara had never dreamed a hot bath could feel so good. She swam across the pool. It was about 10 feet wide and so deep her feet could not touch bottom in the middle. She clung to the far side for a moment, then swam back to the ledge where she had first stepped into the pool. The echoes of her splashing were a little eerie and yet at the same time somehow comforting. "This is wonderful," she sighed, leaning against a place where the stone was polished to a smooth sheen. "I wish—" "What are you doing?" "These herbs are good for your skin," said Flint as she dumped a double handful of dried leaves into the pool. "Stir them around." Kara did as she was instructed. At first, the addition to the water made her skin tingle in an unpleasant way, but after a minute or two, the sensation vanished and a spicy odor filled the air, moist air. After a while, Mgama came to join them. She helped Kara wash her hair, then massaged a dark blue concoction into it. The earthy smell of the stuff was intense, yet somehow soothing. Mgama sang as she worked. When the song was finished, she said, "Now rinse it out." Kara had to duck her head under the warm water of the pool several times before all the stuff was gone. Once it was, Mgama patted the stone next to her and said, "Now, come sit with me." Kara took the towel Flinza handed her, wondering as she did where it had come from. It was coarse, obviously hand-woven, but surprisingly soft. After drying herself, she wrapped the towel around her and went to sit beside Mgama. The geomancer showed her a comb made from dark wood, its ornate handle carved like a dragon. "A friend made this for me," she said as she began to untangle Kara's hair. It took nearly 2 hours, some strange-smelling lotions, and, Kara suspected, a bit of magic to get all the knots out. After the first 10 minutes, Kara began to grow restless. "We have to hurry," she said at last. "I have to get moving." "Yes, you do," replied Mgama serenely, "but the journey ahead of you calls for endurance as well as speed, and you will do better, last longer, if you set off rested and well prepared. Haste at the start often costs much more time at the end. Turn your head to the right, please." Kara took a breath and tried to settle herself. Despite her eagerness to begin the journey, she managed to relax a bit and to listen. As Mgama manipulated the comb, she spoke of her work as geomancer and how she had come to learn the rhythms of the world and the shape of the stones. She told of the lines of power that run beneath the surface of all worlds and the secrets that can be read in a pebble, a leaf, a twig, or a clod of soil. As Kara listened, she felt the world opening up to her, expanding as if she could see it in a new way. Sometimes, rather than speaking aloud, Mgama would whisper. 3 times she sang secret songs, which could only be uttered inside the world, in a cave, as they were now. While she was done with the combing, she plaited Kara's hair into 2 thick braids. "This will help keep it from tangling again. Now come, the others are waiting." Kara put on her clothes, which felt grubby against her clean skin, followed Flensa and Mgama out of the cave. "Oh, well done," said Thomas, who was lounging near the front door. "Your hair looks very good that way." "Thank you," said Kara, blushing a little. Then quickly she added, "Mgama did it." "Come, child," said Mgama, who was standing at the table once more. "We're not finished yet. Let us see if any of these will fit you." "Where did all these come from?" asked Kara as she explained the variety of clothing spread out on the table. The geomancer turned her paws upwards. "People sometimes come to me for information. When they do, they offer me something in return, usually something they have made. I take whatever they offer. You never know when something will, come in handy." "How many humans are there in Luster anyway?" asked Kara, picking up a pair of leather trousers. She held them to her waist, then sighed and put them back since they were at least a foot too long for her. Mgama paused. "Not very many. I suspect if you gathered us all together, you might have had enough to make a medium-sized town. Of course, I speak only of this continent. What is over the sea, I cannot say. Here, try this on." By the time they were done, Kara was outfitted in a loose linen shirt covered by a dark green tunic woven from some fabric she did not recognize, a pair of close-fitting brown trousers that were far easier to move in than her jeans had been, and a pair of high boots made of supple earth-colored leather. Better yet, Mgama gave her a pack in which she was able to carry 2 additional sets of clothing. "Best take this cloak, too," said the geomancer, rolling another piece of fabric and tucking it into the pack. "You'll be traveling north, and summer is coming to its end. Evenings may be cool." To finish the outfit, she strapped a short sword to Kara's side. "May you never have to use it. whispered the geomancer, but may it perform its job well, if you do. Kara drew the sword and stared at it, feeling a strange mixture of excitement and fear. Somehow having an adult give her such a weapon made the dangers of the path ahead seemed even more real. I wish I could have some lessons, she muttered. With luck, you won't need for anything more than slicing a path through the underbrush, said Umgaba. Let us rejoin the others. Feeling more prepared to face her task than she had at any point since her meeting with the queen, Kara followed Umgaba to where the unicorns were waiting. What a transformation, said Belle appreciatively. You look much more suited for a fight. Much more suited to travel and explore, corrected Finder, earning himself a scowl from Belle. Moonheart stepped forward. On behalf of the queen, I thank you for your help, Umgaba. I will report to her when we return. Assuming we do return, said Finder in a solemn voice, enough that Kara knew he wasn't joking. Moonheart was clearly eager to be moving, a feeling that matched Kara's perfectly, so the goodbyes were quick. Yet despite her eagerness to be on the road, when Kara turned to leave, she suddenly realized how good it had been to be inside a house, even one as odd as Umgaba's, even if for only a day. Breaking from the group, she ran back to the geomancer and threw her arms about her waist. Thank you, she whispered, for everything. You're welcome, child, whispered Umgaba, stroking the top of her head. For your sake, if not for the sake of the wanderer, I wish you success on your journey. She hesitated for a moment, then slipped her hand into her pocket. I want you to take this, she said, holding out a ring made of green stone that had been polished until it was smooth as glass. I can't take it, said Umgaba fiercely, and may you travel in safety. Thank you, said Kara softly. She turned to Flintz, who was standing slightly behind Umgaba. Her ugly little face was set in a deep scowl, and she was clutching her spear as if ready to use it. My thanks to you, too, Kara said softly. Flintz nodded, but said nothing. Kara rejoined the unicorns, and they started west, away from Umgaba's home and toward the River Silver. They had not been traveling for more than an hour when Belle suddenly broke away from the group and trotted back the way they had come. Where's she going? Asked Kara. Hard to say, replied Finder, who was walking beside her. Belle is not one to talk. Mostly, she just does, but she'll be back. And indeed, in less than 10 minutes, she returned and said softly, Someone is following us again. Moonheart looked concerned. Do you have any idea who it is? Belle shook her head, causing her mane to flow like foamy water over a graceful neck. The signs are very subtle. Whoever it is knows how to be careful. We'll have to do the same, said Moonheart. And with that, they started moving again, faster than before. I don't like this, said Kara nervously. Fear not, fair lady, said Thomas. He took out one of his watches, wound it, then returned it to a different pocket. We travel with the queen, the best the queen has to offer. He took out another watch and began to fiddle with it, trying to look casual. Even so, he had sounded slightly nervous himself. The path they followed was so faint that Kara could scarcely detect it. The unicorns claimed that the signs were clear. Even so, Kara noticed that the Moonheart let Finder take the lead for most of this stage of the journey. When they camped the first night, Kara searched until she found a smooth stick thick as her thumb and about a foot long. Then she carved a notch at one end. What's that? Asked Thomas, who had been watching her. My calendar, she replied. She ran her thumb over the notch. We have 30 days left. She tucked the stick into her pack. Late in the afternoon of the third day, Kara noticed a bell-like sound somewhere ahead of them. Do you hear that? She asked Thomas. The tinker set down the handles of his cart and furrowed his brow, seeming to concentrate fiercely. Suddenly a broad smile creased his face. I do! Well, what is it? Either a very strange bird or Armando. Wonderful, muttered Moonheart. Armando, exactly what we need. With a snort of disgust, he trotted to the front of the group. Who's Armando? Asked Kara after Moonheart was gone. Thomas raised one eyebrow. Patience, my child. Anticipation is half the fun in a surprise. Kara made a little growl, but said nothing more. They were walking through a sun-dappled stretch of forest, still following the faint path Finder had said was the best route to the River Silver. The air was clean and sweet. The first hints of autumn were tinting the leaves with blue and silver. The occasional song of a bird, a real bird, not the strange sound that she had heard earlier, drifted through the forest. When it did, Thomas would name the bird for her and tell her what earth bird it was most like, or what made it unique to Luster. Despite her urgent desire to reach her grandmother, she was enjoying the journey, partly because they were making good time, which eased her nervousness. But now she found that in addition to the nagging fear that was always present at the back of her mind, she was subject to a gnawing curiosity. A curiosity that continued to grow as they traveled, since the sounds ahead were becoming louder and more interesting. Kara heard bursts of music, occasional laughter, shouts of delight, and, once, a cry of pain. At last, they topped a small rise, and looking down into the clearing before them, Kara saw the source of the mysterious sounds. And that is where we will end for today. Thank you so much, darlings. I will see you all next time, lovelies. Have a great day today. Bye-bye.